Welcome to another episode of Bob Friday's Talks. This is a special episode coming to you from Las Vegas, where we're at Juniper's Executive Circle CIO event. And today we have a special guest, Mitch Davis, CIO from Dartmouth. And today we're going to be looking at building special teams. How do you build high-performance teams? With that, Mitch, maybe give the audience a little introduction on your background.
I've been in tech since probably I was born. I grew up in the HP labs. My dad was head of R&D, and out of college, started working in tech.
Okay.
Went on to work for University of Oregon as a CIO, and then went off to Stanford, did the same thing. Then to Bowdoin College for 14 years, and now Dartmouth. Always involved with deep tech, networking, everything that was going on new.
Yeah, so I've known you for probably 10 years or so. And I've always known you as kind of the transformational CIO. It seems like when they bring you in, they're trying to transform the program. You know, for myself, I always tell people that startups are like the ultimate team sport.
Right.
And I've known you about high performance teams, and everywhere you've gone, you've built high performance teams. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe we spend a little bit of time looking into what does it mean to build a high performance team? You know, what is your recipe?
I think most places you go into, at least when I go in, there's silos. They're not only siloed individually, they're siloed by department. And so they sort of work against each other or at odds. And if you're going to, I'm always limited as to hiring more people, and that doesn't always solve the problem, is I find that by bringing people together, you can get more done quickly. But then you have to value each other. You have to build trust. You have to build all these things and take down those walls that create those silos. And a lot of them have been put in place for a long time. So I usually call it, we're going to matrix the department. And that basically means I will pull people out of departments, put them in other departments.
Okay. Because when I look in the startup space, for me, it's always been, you got to have a rock star CEO. You got to have a rock star product management. You have to have a rock star engineering team. You have to have a rock star marketing team. And when those teams come together, it's just like magic watching it happen. So
I think in teams the way you want, but you don't always have rock stars. So part of your job as a CIO is to develop people and give them the idea that they can be better than what they are. And the way that you grow those individual teams is you, one, advance a person's skill set, two, get them to believe in themselves, and then to get to believe in their team. And then once they do that, they actually go someplace they've never been. And I find as I move people into that rock star status, nobody wants to go back. They all want to go for it, and they start carrying everybody else with them to that place.
Yeah. So maybe a little bit. So how do you identify talent, though? I mean, it's like, when you build a team, I always tell people your plan has to be built on the team you have, not the team you wish you had.
Right.
Do you have any recommendations, when you actually have to evaluate different members of the team?
I think part of the CIO's job is inspiration. Is a lot of people have worked in uninspired places. They had no vision, they had no mission. They came to work and did their job. And they felt that that's all it meant to be working somewhere. And you may inherit that team. But what I find is most people, once given a vision and a mission and given the opportunity to develop the skill sets they need to move forward, they sort of rise to the level.
Okay, so you do almost the same thing I do, because when you do a startup, you have to have a vision, you're on a mission. So it sounds like, when you go into a new role as CIO somewhere, you're almost building a startup inside that role.
Again and again and again. And the same thing, your passion, your desire, your sort of need to succeed actually transfers to your staff and everybody else. Is you can carry everybody. And I've proven this in the sense that I showed a associate CIO what happens when you walk in and you don't have energy and you're down and you let people know you're sick. I did this with her to show her how much she had to own her leadership when she walked in the door. Right. And so we went for a day, walked around, told everybody I was sick, told them I was down, told them I was this. By the end of the day, what was everybody talking about? Talking about me and how down they were. And they were worried about their jobs all of a sudden. And that was just in one day. So a person, the leader of any organization who's building strong teams needs to be that cheerleader, that sort of inspiration day in, day out.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of echoing. We just got done listening to Kevin O'Leary down there on the concept of leadership and everything. Same thing. Maybe what are the top things you look for in a leader right now in your team?
I look for creativity. Also a person who is willing to take risk. And who can inspire people. They don't, in fact, a lot of the times people who end up being some of my best leaders never knew that. I mean, you know, people that I work with, and there are people that start out just working on a network, and they go on and they end up being CTO and everything, and they become inspiring leaders, not only for themselves, but for everybody they touch and talk to.
Yeah. You know, I know you're CIO at Dartmouth right now. You know, maybe give the audience a little bit of example, specifically at Dartmouth. You know, when you got there, what was the situation and what was your first step on trying to bring that team back to life?
The situation was they'd basically been moribund in the sense they had two principles of operation: default to no and make no noise. That was their goal. As all of an IT department, 150 people,
to stay under the
make
radar.
no waves, stay under the radar. And I immediately told them, we're going to make a ton of noise, and we're going to default to maybe or yes. And we're going to find a way to get that done. And when I found resistance within those groups, I started noticing pockets of resistance, but also I created mentoring groups for people that I sat on and worked with people. And you create a group of acolytes within your department that are buy into the mission, buy into the inspiration, buy into the opportunity that something can be different than what I've had in the past. And when you create that sense of difference and all of a sudden people succeed, other people start noticing them succeeding. And again, a transformation of a large group of people, 200 people, doesn't happen overnight. And that you're going to disrupt. And so people thought, in my office, I had a chaos spelled out on my bookcase. And they thought I was all about creating chaos. So I waited about 6 months, and then I put order on my other bookcase on the other side of my desk. And I explained to them, yes, we create chaos, but we also find order out of that chaos. And our goal right now, all together, is to find that order. It's not to go back, but it's to find a way to work forward in which we're going to be exceptional. We're going to do things they've never done.
Yeah, that's kind of creating that, you know, that creation of success, that theme of success. Because you know, we heard that today and this afternoon, right, with Kevin, and the concept of, you know, if you have a team that's, you know, got a goal of 17% and hit their goal 95% of the time, versus a team that's got a 30% goal and hits it 65% of the time, you know, the team doing 17% is actually going to be more successful.
Yep.
Right. You want to get that culture of success going around that mission, that vision.
So that brings up, you know, as a CIO, is don't make the mission impossible.
Right.
Is make the mission palatable. Also make it so they're challenged. You're disrupting them, and they're disrupting the way they work, but they find success in the end of that. And then you can continue to do that. Every time somebody sort of disrupted, they've been changed a little bit, and they move forward and they find success, you can disrupt them again to the point where living in that state of change is where you want them. And so what you want to do with your clients and with your staff is to create a change positive environment where change is seen as a positive and not a negative, and remove the resistance from your clients, remove the resistance from your staff, so you can execute at a faster rate and a more successful one.
Okay, well, now this show is a lot about AI. And
Yeah.
I know you're a big virtual gamer. You know, so we talked about that a little bit. You know, where do you see AI? I mean, we both play around with these Apple ProVision.
Right.
You know, do you see AI, augmented reality, playing into teams of the future, or where's it?
I already think of AI as a team member. If you look at what it's done in our programming group, it's infiltrated that. It's part of the team. And so as AI grows, I think it will infiltrate more and more parts. Our marketing group definitely engaged with AI, ChatGPT-4. That's a common conversation. This whole thing with Notebook LLM, building these podcasts, being able to distribute them out just from content that we have, explaining very complex things in very easy ways. The AI is going to continue to ramp up and always be a tool, but also somewhat of a partner thinking about how we could do better.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that because, you know, in my space, it's all, you know, Marvis, cloud AIOps, networking. And I always tell IT teams, you know, you got to look at these virtual AI assistants as a new partner. You know, you got to treat them like a new
Marvis is a partner.
Right.
To our teams, to our service desks, to our network, it is a partner. And they see it that way. And they talk about Marvis as an entity.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is, you know, in this, right, you know, we're building things or doing things on par with humans that are non-deterministic. And I tell people, you have to learn how to trust your AI assistant like you a new employee, right?
But Marvis has earned that. Remember, Marvis 1.0 is not Marvis today.
Yes, I think we're still on the journey. We're not
Right,
quite
right.
to the Waymo Uber autonomous driving vehicle,
Right.
but it's amazing we're getting there.
Yes.
So, maybe, final words of wisdom for anyone out there trying to build high performance teams.
Is look at yourself first. And are you the leader that you need to be able to create that team? And are you creating an environment that supports risk within the environment for your staff? So the creative aspect of themselves and their ability to change is supported. If you create a safe environment for people to grow, they'll grow where you need them to go. If you don't, if you restrict them in any way and you place that risk on them, because I think a lot of people, when somebody screws up, they say that's your fault. Anytime anybody works for you and you've assigned them a task, fail, that's your fault. You own that and you let them move forward and learn, because you want to create a learning environment that's constantly growing.
Okay. Well, Mitch, I want to thank you for joining us on this episode in Vegas. And I want to thank you, the audience, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Bob Friday Talks.
Thanks.